Welcome back to Speed Reads, where we explore every book of the Bible in vivid detail and rich storytelling. Today we turn to one of the most piercing and socially charged prophetic voices in all of Scripture, the Book of Amos. This book delivers a stunning confrontation, not with pagan nations but with God's own people. It speaks of justice denied, worship corrupted, and a society rotting from the inside out. Though written nearly 3,000 years ago, the Book of Amos reads like it was crafted for our modern world, a cry against injustice, hypocrisy, and spiritual complacency. Through the voice of a shepherd from Tekoa, God thunders from Zion, reminding his people that true religion is not just about ritual, but righteousness. The book opens with a haunting declaration: "The Lord roars from Zion." This is no gentle whisper or still small voice. This is the roar of a lion ready to pounce. Amos, a fig farmer and shepherd from the southern kingdom of Judah, is sent north to Israel during a time of political stability and economic prosperity. But beneath the surface, Israel is a nation sick with injustice. The elite bask in luxury, the poor are trampled underfoot, and God's laws are treated like an inconvenience. And so Amos begins, not with Israel, but with a poetic judgment against the surrounding nations: Damascus, Gaza, Tyre, Edom, Ammon, Moab. Each is condemned for cruelty, violence, and betrayal. The audience in Israel likely nods along in satisfaction until the prophet pivots, which Amos turns his piercing gaze toward Judah, and then Israel. Suddenly the lion's roar grows louder. Israel, though materially rich, is spiritually bankrupt. The people sell the righteous for silver and the needy for a pair of sandals. They trample on the heads of the poor, pervert justice at the city gates, and profane God's name by sleeping with temple prostitutes and drinking stolen wine in the house of worship. Their religious festivals, burnt offerings, and songs are not only empty, they're offensive to God. I despise your feasts," God says. "Let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream." This becomes the book's central cry. God is not impressed with worship that ignores the cries of the oppressed. Amos speaks of rampant inequality: ivory beds, fine wines, and elaborate homes for the few, while the poor suffer in silence. Women of wealth are called cows of Bashan, who demand more luxuries from their husbands while ignoring the suffering around them. The legal system is rigged, the markets are corrupt, religious leaders are compromised, and prophets who speak the truth are silenced. The corruption is so deep that even nature itself is reacting. God has sent drought, famine, locusts, plagues, and yet the people have not returned to him. Over and over, God declares, "Yet you did not return to me." The day of the Lord, often celebrated as a future moment of triumph, is redefined by Amos. For Israel, it will not be a day of victory but of darkness and judgment. It will be as though a man fled from a lion, only to meet a bear. In other words, there is no escape. Their mistaken assumption that being God's chosen people means immunity from judgment is shattered. God holds his people to a higher standard, not a lower one. The covenant brings privilege, but also responsibility, and Israel has broken that covenant through idolatry, injustice, and arrogance. Throughout the book, visions of judgment intensify. Amos sees a swarm of locusts, a consuming fire, a plumb line measuring the crookedness of Israel's ways, and a basket of ripe summer fruit, symbolizing that Israel is ripe for judgment. In one of the most chilling prophecies, Amos declares that a famine is coming, not of bread or water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. People will stagger from sea to sea, searching for truth, and find none. When people refuse to listen to God, eventually silence falls, and that silence is terrifying. The priest Amaziah, a religious official in Israel, attempts to silence Amos by telling him to go back to Judah and stop prophesying. But Amos responds with the boldness of one who knows he has been called. He reminds Amaziah that he is not a professional prophet, nor the son of one, but a simple shepherd and tree farmer. Yet it was God who took him from his flock and sent him to speak. This highlights a key theme: God can raise up a prophet from anywhere, and truth often comes from the margins. And yet amid the thunderous warnings, the book of Amos closes with a whisper of hope. God promises that after judgment, restoration will come. "I will restore David's fallen tent," he says. "The land will be rebuilt. The people will return from exile. Vineyards will flourish. Justice will be reestablished. And the relationship between God and his people will be renewed." This promise is not based on Israel's merit, but on God's faithfulness to his covenant. Though the book spends much of its space in judgment, the final note is redemption. The Book of Amos teaches us that God cares deeply about how we treat one another. It reminds us that justice and righteousness are not optional extras, they are the essence of covenant living. Worship without justice is hypocrisy. Religion without compassion is a lie. Amos shows us a God who will not be manipulated by rituals or impressed by wealth, but who hears the cries of the poor, sees the corruption of the powerful, and demands a world where righteousness flows like a mighty river. Thank you for joining us for this powerful journey through the Book of Amos. If this message stirred something in you, subscribe to Speed Reads, where we walk book by book through the entire Bible with reverence and depth.